I almost died 2 times before I learned how to truly relax. And this is the space that brought me back. And I want to talk to you today because it is the most misunderstood tool for transformation. You may have seen one of these before. I'm going to talk with you about what it really is, but why it is also so necessary in today's world. We have forgotten to be still, how to be still. That might look and feel like your current state right now. And your nervous system may be screaming at you, but you may not be able to hear it anymore. But that may look like your mind racing at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, your body being in pain and tight, where you're not as flexible as you once were, where you're struggling to relax and find comfort in your body. And it might look like all these things you do to relax, to disconnect, to the things you reach for after work, to relax and find that peace for yourself, but it doesn't last. You may have tried meditation apps, breathing exercises, or spent a lot of money on luxurious spa days. But nothing really creates that deep reset, the deep rest that your system actually needs. So what if I told you there is a space where your nervous system can finally pause and rest? Notice the difference. And obviously this is not forever. It's just long enough for you to remember who you are underneath the noise. So you may be thinking, who are you? I am Bryce. I'm an artist, a guide, and I have floated for over 600 hours over the last decade. And floating helped me come back to myself after multiple near-death experiences. It was my first float that really allowed me to release the first one in my life. And that was the starting point that led me here. And it was also the starting point for the last 10 years where I have built float centers and helped architect this industry. I have had the privilege and the honor of working with float centers around the world and really deeply, intimately seeing how these spaces are built, how they operate, really working to educate people on what floating is and highlighting these immense stories of transformation, because I have had transformation over transformation for myself personally, but in this work I have seen, I've had a very unique perspective to see how many other people have had their lives transformed in beautiful ways from this tool and this practice. So you may be thinking, maybe you've heard of it, maybe this is your first time you're looking at this image and saying, what the heck is that? What is floating? Well, like I said, it is a transformational tool, but most importantly, it is a practice. It is a space where you can learn to truly relax, because right now you may think you know. I used to think that I knew what relaxation was, but you will feel that you will understand it on a whole new level. It is a space to let go of deep trauma. As I mentioned, I've nearly died a few times under very different circumstances, but that is a heavy weight to carry. It's a very confusing experience. It's never the same from my understanding, from hearing other stories. but it is very traumatic. And I've had other traumas in my life. I think we all have. Our traumas, various levels, and more and more. There's research and there's sort of new discoveries of how trauma at the root is often kind of the foundational issue, the core issue that then informs and comes up as all these other symptoms. And so this is such a powerful way that we see how floating is helping people. I've heard so many stories. I have many of my own. But it's this space where you feel safe enough, you're able to let go and relax, and that allows you to finally release it and be in a space where you're not distracted to finally let go. Another really beautiful example of this is for veterans, people who are struggling with PTSD. You can get caught. It's like this endless loop. If the triggers come up, if the memories, the sensations come up when you're in a space in public, when you're around other people, and it is deeply confusing, and it is, and it can cause so many other issues because maybe the person going through it does not understand, but also the people surrounding them don't really see and understand what's going on. And the float tank is this beautiful space that allows you to be calm enough and feel safe enough to actually see it for what it is, to actually feel the emotions and process and let it go. And so I have heard stories of veterans who are in their 60s, and they say, I feel 18 again. And that is because they were able to let go of the weight of the burden of these likely very traumatic experiences, of being at war, of being on duty, to be able to get back and return to themselves prior to those experiences. And so this really, compared to so many things, floating is such a transformational tool because of the opportunity it gives you to let go of trauma. I also just want to share an important note here, which is that that might seem scary. It might, what's going to come up? Do I have trauma? Maybe those questions come to mind. But as I said, it is the way that it happens. That was my first float, letting go of nearly drowning when I was a young teen. And the way it happens is, it is not scary at all. It is, if anything, unbelievably relieving, because you're actually able to just release it rather than continuing the loop and getting stuck or exacerbating and have those emotions get that much worse. So don't let this deter you in any way. And because of being able to relax on deeper levels, being able to let go, because you are able to let go of those heavy things that you've maybe been carrying that distract you or pull you away from who you really are. Maybe that's wrapped up in some lies, some things that aren't true that you've been carrying forward. So it allows you to let all that go and come home to yourself again. And that is a incredibly powerful thing to be able to achieve. It is a beautiful blessing and a gift. So the float tank is your filter. I don't know how you feel about this image, but I probably could have made the left 1,000 times more lines, more chaotic. That, it seems, is the world more and more. And so we need a filter. We need a space like the float tank to be able to find the signal from the noise and be able to just allow our bodies to let go and relax. More than an escape, like I said, it is a return to self and also to source, whatever that means to you, some higher power, the universe, God. The noise and the distractions of our world, just pull us away. They distract us from ourselves first and foremost, but then also whatever that higher power, even our gut, our intuition, that to me is source. And that is one of the most important things, is to be able to stay connected to that, to not fall away from it. So the float tank, in my experience, I've heard it over and over again, is such a potent space for that, because it ruthlessly, through how it's constructed, through what it does, what it allows you to kind of tap into, because of the environment, you're able to return to yourself, to source, so much easier, so much faster. So you may be thinking like, okay, this sounds great, Bryce, where do I float? How do I float? Tell me all about it. So very simply, I won't go too in depth on this. A float tank, there's many different types I will show you in a second. You have a private room and a shower. Usually it's a open or a closable tank. You can have the choice of that. The reason you float is because there's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt in the water. I will talk about some of the benefits of that as well. So you float effortlessly. There's no pressure on your body. It is an incredible feeling to be able to fully let go and surrender. And then obviously this will be different at each space, but often there is an option if you want to have lights on or you want to play music. So there's different ways you can customize for your preference, your comfort. And because of that 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt, one of the key ingredients, kind of the part of the magic of floating, why you feel so incredible, you feel so recharged, it often feels like a reset button, is because of the magnesium in the Epsom salt. It is the fourth highest mineral found in your body. Most people are deficient. It's very easy to become deficient nowadays. And it's responsible for a lot, over 600 cellular reactions. So you need that kind of juice, that boost for your body to operate optimally. So you will feel it when you float, how much you kind of get recharged because of the magnesium. And as I mentioned, there's open tanks, there are closed tanks, lots of different designs. They all achieve a very similar purpose. And of course, one of the main concerns people have is safety, cleanliness. There are impeccable standards. There are the filtration that these tanks have are state of the art. It's like things that are less smaller than a hair do not get through. The water is filtered multiple times through each person, and the standards are like the water is usually cleaner than drinking water, like the standards for especially hot tubs and those types of things. Just know it is very, very clean. There have been a lot of people pioneering and making sure that this is a safe, clean practice that has been established. And I want to talk to you about the phases of a float practice, because I think one of the core issues and the ways that people misunderstand what floating really is, the ways that they miss out on how transformational this is because they think of it just like another wellness service, another tool in the spa package, rather than this transformational tool that it is through the float practice. So there's 3 phases to the float practice. Phase 1 is all about exploration. That is where you are learning how to relax. You're learning how to let go. You are getting comfortable in the environment. It's a very strange environment. There is really nothing like it on the planet. Some people will compare it to the Dead Sea because of how you are able to float and let go effortlessly. But there are so many other factors that I will talk about that create this unique environment and space. And so you don't know how to be in that space until you're in it, and until you're able to kind of orient yourself and get used to it. And that just takes a little bit of time. Some are able to do that faster than others, but it's also that you probably don't know how to relax. This space will show you and will make it very clear that probably needs some work as well. But it might be challenging, but it will probably be one of the most worthwhile things that you do is to work through that and really learn how to relax and let go. And then phase 2 is where you have the transformation. So once you're comfortable in that space, you're able to let go more. You're able to reconnect and come back to yourself, come back to source in a much deeper way. You're able to find even deeper levels of relaxation past that sort of initial learning phase. And then that is where there's no guarantee, there's no way to know what that will be for you. And in many ways, the float tank gives you what you need. But that is where you will see and experience this deeper transformation. And then phase 3 is where you will integrate, you will maintain this, you hold a new baseline and a new way of being. And again, the problem is that most people quit after the first float because they're learning to trust stillness. We are living in a world that is unbelievably loud. It is unbelievably chaotic. It is getting more and more so every single day. And the more that we reach for our devices, the more that we continue to speed up, continue to rush, continue to let the noise in and the noise grow louder, the harder it is going to be to trust, to let go, and to be in the stillness, in the silence, in the quiet. But that, I promise you, is where so many beautiful things, so much transformation can happen for you. And so in that phase 1, again, the challenge is you are going into a space where you are solo, you are alone. There are some places that will offer couples floats. It's a beautiful experience as well, but it is a very different than the traditional solo float. So I recommend, if you're getting started, you do it solo. Traditionally is done in the dark. Again, if you maybe are claustrophobic, if you're scared of the dark, you can always start out with lights on or the tank lid open to let in some light, get used to the environment, and you can work your way to that. In the same way, traditionally it is done in silence. Some places will offer guided meditations or some type of calm music during your float. So if you need to, you can start out with that. But again, I suggest that you work towards getting comfortable with the silence over time. You're in water. For me, as I said, I nearly drowned when I was a teen. So my relationship with water was quite rocky. It was not it was pretty tense. And so that was a challenge for me. And I know it's a challenge for many other people. If you are not a great swimmer, if you've maybe had traumas around water as well, some people are concerned about if they will float or not. Everyone floats, that because of the Epsom salt, it will hold you. You are naked. As I talked about before, you can wear a bathing suit if you'd like. That will just add some distractions and some pressure on your body. But traditionally, the best experience is naked. You are in a private room that you can lock. So again, there is that safety, that security for you. But that can be a challenge for people. And then on the deeper level, it's about surrender. And that is very hard. It took me a very long time to be able to do that and do that more and more. And you do not have your distractions. Those can be, crutches for us. Those are the ways that we avoid the challenging things that are actually kind of the path and the doorway to the things that we're actually looking for, to those benefits, to the relief. But you do not have the distractions while you're floating, and that can be very challenging at first. But the reward is holistic relief. Your mind, your body, your spirit, you will feel this in many ways. In your first couple floats, you will feel this incredible relief you may not have experienced in a while or ever. Your senses are renewed. Your sight, your taste, your hearing. It's quite a beautiful experience as well. Colors are brighter. And it feels really like a reset button. That's what a lot of people talk about it as. You will see what I mean when you go and float yourself. And again, the first float is rarely the transformational one. For me, I was blessed. The first one was highly transformational. I let go of this, big major trauma. It was free of that. It was this very powerful experience. There are others who have that, but it's important not to go in with that expectation. It might take a couple. There's no way of knowing, how it will go for you. You can't really go in with a set expectation of like, I'm going to fix this or whatever. And so you need to be able to push through that resistance. You need to be able to sit through the challenge of building a new habit. So, getting through phase 2, you need to be able to let go again and again and continue to slow down out of that constant rush, the rat race. And the reward you get from that is a stronger sense of self. You discover a new baseline. I often talk about how, maybe your baseline stress, what you're used to is up here. You're like 150% all the time. And so you can bring it down to 100 or 80 or 70 or 50% of that typical 150%. You find that new baseline, whether it's your stress, your anxiety. And from this, you also feel a greater alignment just to your true self, who you really are. And then in that phase 3, once you've had this deeper transformation, it's really about holding boundaries. It's about becoming proactive in your practice to, once you're in a much better place, continue the practice, because that is where you will maintain. You won't fall back, and you'll be able to fully let go of, those previous baselines, this previous way of being, the previous identities that you had. And the reward that you get from that is you're able to lock in, you're able to kind of solidify this new way of being. You can prevent, as I said, falling back into the old ways, letting the stress baseline or the anxiety baseline creep back up. And then you feel compounding in various ways. And so, who are the people that really get a lot out of floating? It is this beautiful transformational tool, like I said, that will often give you what you need. But there are some trends of who we see having the most profound transformation. And so that's people with mental health issues. There have been studies for severe anxiety where people going in and having a float, and for up to 48 hours after, having significant reductions in their anxiety. It's very, very powerful. Even people with eating disorders who are able to, refresh and kind of like come back into alignment with actually seeing themselves properly. That's often an issue with anorexia, with bulimia, is seeing yourself much bigger than you are. So you're able to actually bring that into alignment. There's a beautiful study on that as well. People with sleep issues, insomnia, people sleeping, through the night for the first time after years, people with chronic pain who, again, have been on medication, have just been in constant pain for such a long time, actually being pain-free for the first time. And you need to remember that you have to get past phase 1. Most people will get blocked before you achieve that transformation. And it is tragic to see this thing just as some bucket list experience, like some unique thing to try one time. It is definitely so much more than that. And this typically, what has become in many ways an industry standard, what I work with a lot of my clients on, is helping to get you at least floating 3 times within 3 weeks. And if you're looking for a deeper reset, if you're really wanting to lower your baseline to really experience the transformation, you can do a deeper reset of maybe 7, 14, or 30 days of floating. I have done 14 days 2 times now. I have done 30 days of floating in a row, and they are without words. It is a very special experience to be able to give yourself that level of support, to be able to dedicate that time and that space to realign with yourself, or to support yourself into a new way of operating, a new way of being. Highly recommend it if that if you feel a pull, a calling to going deeper. Because that is when you stop trying to float and you start remembering how to be. Again, if we think back to the start of this video, I feel like a lot of us are forgetting how to be. We forget, we're not even connected a lot of times to how we're being. We're so caught up in the rush and the rat race and the noise, in fear and all these things going on in the world, that we forget how to be. And it's taking that time to pause, to fight against that urge or the lie that you don't have time, that you are not able to stop and pause and check in, to reconnect with yourself, to take care of yourself, to support yourself and be supported, that we are able to be more of our true selves. So if you are curious about starting a flow practice, I would love to answer any questions that you have. Just comment your biggest question below. I read and respond to every single one. Like I said, I have been doing this for over a decade now, over 600 hours in the tank. And I also work with a lot of the centers that may host you, that may offer your float for you. So I'm happy to answer any questions and hopefully support you in starting a flow practice. And if you want to go deep in your flow practice, if you are, already floating, if you're maybe curious or interested in doing a 14-day, a 30-day reset, I mentor a highly select number of people each year. That includes float center owners if you run one of these spaces, if you're in the process of building one, but it also includes, entrepreneurs, executives, artists. If you use floating as a transformational tool, if you have gone deeper or you're looking to go much deeper in the reset, the transformation, I would be happy to talk with you and see if it's a good fit to support you in that process, because it is very important that you have support, that you have a guide who can help you navigate, because not many people have done that work in that space. So I want to make sure that you are supported, that you have someone who can help you through that beautiful process, sometimes the messy middle, but that beautiful transformation that will be waiting for you. And if you're curious and following along and learning more, just hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.